This car is a bad influence.
Yes.
So, go on, mate. Go on, mate. Come on. Let's have it. Let's have it. Let's have it. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another episode of Get Your Car Featured. As you can see to my right hand side I have a Mark 6 Ford Fiesta ST, and as you've probably guessed, it's a little bit modded. Oh, this should be a good one.
Hey, what they all been waiting for, man? What they all been waiting for, man? What they all been waiting for, yeah. This is the moment.
It's like Darth Vader. Luke, I am your father.
Cool.
Hello guys, so you now join me inside the car, which thankfully is a little bit warmer than the outside because today it is 2 degrees. You may have noticed I have a passenger. This is Jordan. He is of course the owner of this car and he's been very kind to let me have a go. So normally at this point we would talk about the modifications. We would do this outside of the car, but seeing as it's pretty much freezing out there, quite literally, we'd do it in here. And we can do it whilst on the move. That way the video is a bit more dynamic and it's not just you staring at Jordan as we just stare at an engine bay. So anyway, right, turn on the engine, the 2 litre, naturally aspirated unit. It's 4 degrees outside.
It's 4 degrees
It's got a little bit warmer.
It's still crying about it though.
Yes, we still have the little snowflake on the dashboard to tell us it's cold, as if we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't tell.
Right, so talk me through your build. Now, actually, before we do that, now you've owned this car for about 3 years.
Yeah.
But you actually sold it and then bought it back very quickly. Talk us through that. What happened there?
Funnily enough, that's actually how we met. So this
Yes,
was, what, about a year ago now?
I'm trying to mind your splitter.
It's fine, just let it do its thing. If it breaks, it breaks. Yeah, so what, a year and a bit ago now, I was on the hunt for a Mark 1 Leon Cooper R. That's how we met, because I came and looked at the owner.
Yes.
That didn't end up happening because of the fact that
it's quite loud.
It's a bit raspy in here, yeah.
I wasn't quite expecting that.
Yeah, so went to look at a Leon, didn't end up buying yours, but sold this to buy one. Had it for all of 3 days and went, I don't like this, I want another Fiesta. So swapped the Leon for a blue Fiesta up in Gloucestershire, drove it 3 hours to go and do that.
Lovely.
Had that for 2 weeks and then got offered this back. So bought this back and I've had it again since, basically.
So how comes you got offered the car back?
So the dude I sold it to, he really wanted it at the time, and then the girl he was seeing at the time, it's a weird convoluted story.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it gets into girl trouble.
Right.
So she wanted to buy it originally. She was the girl that was meant to buy it when I came and looked at your Leon.
Okay.
That kept on pulling out of it and pushing it back and pushing it back.
Giggity. Yeah.
So he ended up buying it. They started talking again, and she went, I don't want to see that car.
Right.
So he decided to go full white knight, and instead of keeping the car, offered me the chance to buy it back. So I bought it back for exactly what I sold it for.
And it was as if it never happened. It was just a bad dream.
It was a bad dream. Even my Instagram stickers were still left on it.
Oh my God.
As I know for the fact that I got tagged in an Instagram story of my own car that I didn't own at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh.
I forget how fast this thing can be.
And of course, with it being naturally aspirated, you really have to wring out the car's neck to get the power out of it. So, modifications, Jordan, talk me through them.
So, we'll start front, work back.
Yes.
Rebuilt engine with Piper fast road cams in.
Nice.
K&N induction kit. And then a map from Hypertune. It's 180-ish. We dynoed it in the heat wave
Whoa,
last year, and it made 172.
That's not bad. That's
It's
not
not
bad
bad.
going.
Miltech manifold back exhaust, so 4-to-1.
Oh, nice.
For legal reasons, sports cap
Yeah,
and non-res catback. BC coilovers all round.
nice.
Japan racing wheels. Reps, I hate it, but they look cool, so I roll with it. Mintex brakes, Mintex 1144s with groove discs and
Yeah.
Ford OEs in the back. Vented bonnet, RSP splitter, Maxton side skirts, Maxton rear diffuser. Inside we've got a Code deep dish slip or half dish steering wheel.
I had a very similar steering wheel on one of my MX-5s, and I loved it.
They're so comfortable.
It's a really nice thing to hold, and I
Yeah.
love the little blue centre stripe. It's just a really good looking steering wheel.
It is. It's really comfortable. It works really well. It feels nice. We've got Mark 8 Fiesta ST3 seats in here.
Yes,
The Recaros. They are the best thing I've done to this car.
they look so good.
They're so comfy. They support you really well. They sit lower than the factory seats, even though they're on subframes as well, which makes no sense.
Yeah,
And if I could be bothered to, I could wire them up to be heated as well.
I mean, it's winter. You got to do
It's winter.
it.
I need something to do.
You got to do it.
Other than that, we've got a false floor in the back that I got for free, and just a couple of little stickers and bits.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you'll see in some of the lovely B-roll that Aaron got.
Oh,
She goes to 7.2 as well.
that is punchy for such a small car. Now, I've driven 1 or 2 Mark 6 Fiesta STs. I actually came close to buying one many moons ago, and I didn't because I wanted something with a turbo, and with this being a 2 litre, at the time the insurance was just a bit too much, but it definitely wasn't as hairy chested as what this is. And let's make no bones about it. These are a popular choice to be modified,
Yeah.
and not all of them are quite modified to the right standard. You're
Yeah.
doing this properly, so
I did it all with the intention of making it a
Bear
track
with.
car, and then got
I take my hat off to you.
Yeah, I did it with the intention of making it kind of a track car, but then realised that there's basically no rust on the shell. It's super clean. I couldn't really bring myself to drag it around the track all day.
Yeah.
It's such a good car. It's super solid, and for a 126,000 mile shell, it doesn't feel like it. Everything's tight. Yeah, it rubs a bit. It does rub a little bit. It's also got some nice little burble and overrun.
Yeah. And the throttle response is so nice. It just feels meaty. I've probably used the word before, but it's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, so as I said, it was mapped by Hypertune, so that would have been Shane, who has just moved to Essex, used to be down kind of your way.
Yeah.
Amazing dude, spent way too long on the map. We were there all day,
Wow.
so
Okay.
everything has been custom tuned to how I wanted it to be. So throttle's super twitchy, it's very quick to come on.
Yeah.
The power band's been tuned to kind of make it meaty for everyday driving, but not overly aggressive. Obviously it revs out to 72 now as opposed to 68. And it's got a little bit of burble. I didn't
Yeah.
want too much, but it's got a bit of fun on D-cells.
It feels really solid,
Yeah.
but not uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's surprisingly soft. I mean, the BCs, I have currently got them set a bit softer. I've been daily in it, but even when they're set to pretty much full firm, they're still really nice to drive.
Yeah.
It's super comfy, and they've given the car a whole new lease of life on turning. It's made the front end so responsive.
Has this got a short shifter?
No.
Really?
Standard throw.
It feels good.
It does, doesn't it? So I did have to do, if you know the Mark 6s, you'll know this, the bush on the selector fork likes to swell up, and the gearbox basically turns into a big box of honey.
Lovely.
It's horrible, and it did it while I was on track.
Oh.
So I did have to drill that out. I did it last year, I think, and that's why it still feels so smooth. And everyone says it feels like a short shifter, but it's not.
It does feel really good. It's a nice positive throw.
Yeah, you know it's in. What have we got behind us? That looks quite nice as well. That's normal.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, that's just side skirts on the floor.
I will put this back on because it is rather cold.
It is rather chilly, isn't it?
So we do have a heater in here, but it needs a new resistor, so it only works on setting 4.
You get full fat on nothing.
Yes, exactly.
And even on full fat, it sounds a bit unhappy.
I was thinking that actually,
Yeah,
but
it needs some love.
something that doesn't sound unhappy. This car would get me into a lot of trouble.
Pulled my USB out my radio as well.
Their pedals are nicely laid up for heel and toe as well.
Yes. Which, for legal reasons, we don't do on the road very often.
Oh no, we'd never do that. See, even that bump was quite supple.
Yeah, you don't really notice it.
No, and because this is quite a short wheelbase, that can often be a bad thing for ride comfort.
Yeah. But no, it's surprisingly quite soft.
And it really helps that you've got these seats. I mean, what an inspired choice to pop these are Mark 8 seats,
Mark
aren't
8
they?
SD3s.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to toot my own horn a bit here. So these are the second set of Mark 8 seats I've had in this car.
I was about to say, didn't you have the last time I saw the car,
Yes.
didn't you have different ones?
Yes, so I had
Okay.
the ST2s, and I was the first person in the UK to have them in.
Yeah.
I got them off someone that bought them, put them on subframe. Shout out to Anthony. I don't know if he'll ever see this, but he's a bloody good dude, and he gave me a lot of advice when I was doing stuff to the car. He bought them, never fitted them because he was looking for a set of Recaro CSs that then popped up.
Yeah.
So he put them on the subframes to never put them in the car. So I was the first person in the UK to do these seats.
Yeah.
I then sold them after I got the car back to get a set of buckets. As I said, obviously I was going kind of a bit more track, so I thought, now I'll put some buckets in it, make it a bit more racy. Never really got on with them. For how I drive the car, these are perfect. They give you so much support, but they're super comfy, and they look really nice.
They do look really nice.
Made the interior so much more modern.
And they're still technically OEM because they're Ford seats.
OEM Plus.
Yeah. But this feels like a properly well sorted car, and to be honest, I say that pretty much every time I drive an owner's cars, but I think that's just because all the owner's cars I drive, they've been done properly. I've never driven one, I'll go, oh blimey, this is an absolute shed. That's being held together by cable ties.
It's people's pride and joy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we spend all our time, all our money, blood, sweat and tears go into these cars, so 90% of the time they're pretty solid.
And the great thing about these is that you can pick this up for a good amount of money. Don't get me wrong; they're not all going to be good examples. The engines say that they can cause smoking, can't they? So
yep, that's exactly what happened with mine.
What is it? The valve stem oil seals that are quite common.
So,
is it piston rings?
It's both.
But, okay, cool. Double jeopardy, we shall call that.
Double trouble.
Yeah.
What I've always said when you build these cars is you almost have to budget an engine into it, especially if you buy one at the lower end of the market.
Yeah.
Because they do have a tendency to eat through themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously mine, as I said, I've had the engine rebuilt. That's because it dropped compression on 3 cylinders. 3 cylinders.
Okay, cool.
So I had it compression tested, and it was 120 cylinder 1, 120 cylinder 2, 90 on cylinder 3, and 240 on cylinder 4.
You had one good one?
I had one good one. Cylinder 4 was taking one for the team. But yeah, they're notorious for it, especially if you buy a kind of cheaper one that hasn't been maintained. Obviously, as you were saying, they're quite affordable, which means they're a lot of people's first performance car. I mean, you can pick them up for 1,500 quid in a bit of a rough state. So a lot of them have seen very little maintenance, cheap oil, if they've had oil changes at all.
Yeah.
That's what ends up killing them.
God, this is very, very Moorish.
Yeah,
very Moorish.
it eggs you on, doesn't it?
This car is a bad influence.
Yes.
So, go on, mate. Come on. Let's have it.
Is that all you got? It really does egg you on.
But it's a typical fast Ford, isn't it? It's a bit of a Larry boy.
It's a bit
isn't it?
chavvy, it's
Yeah.
a bit obnoxious, but it's a fast Ford.
Yeah.
Would it be a fast Ford if it wasn't?
No, exactly. And the fact you're getting about 180 horsepower, I think it's properly impressive. And let's be honest, if you take the overboost out of the equation, that's what a Mark 7
It's a
Fiesta
stock,
ST.
it will push around the stock Mark 7.
Yeah, and that's really impressive. But of course, you've got a different power delivery because of the lack of turbo, which is by no means a bad thing. I like the way how the power's delivered this. It of course, it's linear, and it just feels. I've used the word already, but it feels purposeful.
Yeah.
So, what are your future plans with this car? Are you happy with it? Let's face it, a project car is never finished. If someone tells you their project car's finished, they are a big fat liar, because there's no such thing as a finished project car.
Honestly, at the moment, I don't know. As I was saying again to you off camera earlier, I do need to give the front end a bit of love, as I've got a bit of a clunk coming from the rack. I've got a rack to fit, I just need to get round to doing it. The underside needs a restoration soon. It's not rusty yet, but being an early 2000s fast Ford, it will do. They all do it. It's, again, a very notorious issue with these.
Speaking of the power steering, right, I've got to be careful because there's two rather aggressive bumps down here, so I will slow things down a bit.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
So, talking of the power steering, that's okay. I know that because of the location of the power steering reservoir, it gets hot, doesn't it? Because it's really close to the engine. Because Ford thought that'd be a really good idea. So that leads me quite nicely on to common issue. So if someone is watching this and they want their own slice of Mark 6 Fiesta ST ownership, what's your advice? What should you look out for?
So obviously, as Aaron just said, power steering. When you look at the car, check the colour of the fluid. If it's red, it's either fine or it's been changed recently, either of which I'll be happy with. If it's black, it can be an issue. Sometimes it can be fine, it's just that someone hasn't changed it for a little while, as they are, as I said, notorious for boiling over.
Especially if you're using it on track, of course.
Yeah, if you're beating on it, they will boil the fluid. Other than that, it's all very common stuff, really. They, obviously, other than we did mention the engines, so it is worth trying to find one with good history. Don't buy one that's kind of been bragged about, not looked after. If they haven't got history, at least for the majority of the car, I would walk away personally, unless you're happy with rebuilding it, because it more than likely will need it. And rust on the rear end. So where the rear axle mounts to the chassis, them pockets tend to rust out. And over time, they rust out to the point where they end up ripping out the car. It's happening more and more, you're seeing more and more of them do it. So if it's not been done, one of the first things you want to do is underseal the car, strip it back, make sure there's no rust there. Other than that, they're honestly pretty reliable cars. And don't go wheel spinning anywhere, because the diffs are made out of chocolate.
One thing worth noting, in case you don't know, is that these engines are not driven by a timing belt, they're driven by a timing chain. So, one thing I'd recommend is, if you're going to view one, make sure that the owner, the seller, has the car cold. Because if there's a timing chain rattle and they warm the car up, when you get to the car, that rattle would have disappeared. So that would be one of my tips, is make sure the car's cold when you get there, so you can listen out for a timing chain rattle.
Yep. And I mean, when I went and looked at this one, I also asked the seller to not clean the engine bay, just because obviously where they do boil over the fluids, and if there's any leaks or anything.
Exactly.
It's always nice to just see what the engine bay looks like, see if it's been maintained or if it's been cleaned just to sell it. Yeah. But yeah, the only other thing they have is seizing rear calipers. The slide pins love to seize up on them. It's so common.
Really?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. But I mean, other than that, they're pretty solid little cars. They don't have many big issues. Just maintain them and they'll look after you, really.
well, this has been a lot of fun, even on a day where it's gone back to...
It's back down to 2 degrees again now.
It's a very cold day, but we're having a lot of fun.
It's been a brilliant day. It's been a lot of fun. It's been good to have a catch up as well.
It is, yeah. It's been very pleasant.
It has, hasn't
it? It's been very pleasant. It's been awesome.
Pleasant. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for probably a year now.
At least, I'd say.
Least.
But this is a small car, but it's a big bundle of fun.
Small
it really
car with
is.
a big heart. That's what I always say.
They say big things come in small packages.
They do.
Oh, I could drive this all day, but this is not my petrol. And we all know how expensive petrol is at the moment, don't we, ladies and gentlemen? Sorry, who am I kidding? Gentlemen.
You never know.
It was a lot of fun. And I genuinely could have driven that much longer. But the video's going to end up being an hour long. Right, mind that front splitter. We've done it.
We're all back in. We're all good.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much for that, Jordan.
Anytime.
So I would have shown you, well, I'd like to think on the B-roll I would have shown you his Instagram handle, but in case you haven't seen it or you didn't take note of it, it's going to be at the bottom of your screen in a caption. And it will also be in the video description. So go give him a follow. And one thing we didn't actually touch upon, but one thing that is, we're not going to touch upon it too much because we could talk about it for ages. But you're an advocate of mental health as well, aren't you? As I am. So yeah. Be sure to check Jordan's profile out. Give him a bit of love. And I haven't really got anything more to say. It's just been a very good way to spend a cold Saturday afternoon. So you are a gentleman and a scholar. I do really hope you've enjoyed this video. I don't think you would have quite enjoyed it quite as much as I have filming it, but in case you have, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.